You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you a little bit about our current sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. As you well know, if you've been following This is Oklahoma, they've been a huge part of this podcast. So this podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at oklahomahof. Also, for the podcast, a new sponsor this year that's just come on board and super excited to announce RCB Bank. Since 1936, RCB Bank has offered progressive products and a friendly service. Come in today to find out more about their loan promotion on new, used, refinance cars, boats, campers, and ATVs. Visit RCB Bank to learn more. RCB Bank, that's my bank. With approved credit, restrictions apply. Now, let's get into today's episode.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode down in the Bedford studio today with Josh Cleary, who is a big OSU fan, I hope, right? I mean, you go to OSU, you've been to OSU.
Yeah.
So you are an OSU fan. But man, I am really, really looking forward to diving into everything that you do, because I think out of all the guests I've had on the podcast, very few of them are either doing what you were doing, or I've just had the opportunities that you've had at a young age, and have decided to step away from college at a young age too, and have the support from family, which is really cool to see. And that's kind of when I saw the post that you made, and like, I'm stepping back, I'm taking a year off, and full support of family, which is awesome. And there's a lot of people out there who want to do that, but they don't get the support from family, right? But before we dive into everything you have, with the basketball stuff and content and photography and videography, I guess when someone asks you, who are you? I mean, what do you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, I say I'm Josh. Just really, I think I've started to use the word cinematographer more than videographer, because I've gotten to feel that difference. And I definitely say used to just be a videographer, but learning more about what I do, that's probably what I would go to as my title. I do photos, I do all that stuff too, but I feel like that's where I'm trying to like build my niche and want to kind of set in there. So that's what I'm doing right now. I created JRC Media a couple years ago. It's gone through a couple name changes and professionalizing, I'd say. But no, that's really been what I've done, and really becoming honestly, it's a key part of the Oklahoma high school basketball world, I think, which is crazy to think about. But just creating content and that sort of thing, and photos, video, whatever, you name it. Just
and
doing all that.
So we've been chatting a little bit before this. You went to Mount St. Mary High School.
Yes.
I had a friend of mine who I graduated college with, who was Derek Perkins, who was football coach.
He was
for
our
a while.
football coach.
Yeah. He's now down in Texas. Went back home, I believe. But we were in college together at SNU. He played football. Awesome. I played golf. But I know he did great things down at Mount St. Mary and stuff. But also, you're on the basketball side of things. I guess, what draws you to basketball from a young age?
Well, I've always been a baseball guy. Baseball is my better sport. Okay. Yeah, I played baseball. I had a couple college offers to go play, but whenever I really got into the video and photo side of things, I just loved that so much. And I couldn't see baseball becoming a career opportunity at any point, but for this, I definitely saw it as something I'd want to do. So baseball was my main sport, but I've loved basketball more once I started doing it, and just the higher pace and just the intensity that it comes with. And I feel like it can be more emotional, and that I think that's led to me wanting to capture it more. But so just started playing basketball in middle school, really, and then that led to me playing in high school, and then making the decision to step away from the playing side to start capturing it with
the content.
Yeah.
So what gets you into like getting your first camera or content? Like, why is that? Just something that because of growing up and around social media, and you think, I like that, I want to take those photos? Like, how do you transition into the media side of it?
I think it's interesting because my parents have always been I wouldn't say protective, but like they care. They
right?
care.
Yeah.
So like I didn't have any Instagram or social media until I was in high school. Like I didn't have any of that. So I didn't know how it worked. I didn't know how to do any of that. But after I got a hang of it and started, whenever I stepped back from playing basketball, my school had Canon 70Ds and just old equipment. And I had taken a video production class that we had. The only film photography class I took in high school was a like basic video production class, and took that, learned the basics, all aperture, shutter speed, all that stuff, and that went well, and I really enjoyed it and thought it was interesting, and so I started filming our home basketball games and on just like a plastic 50 millimeter and did that, and I loved it, and just started uploading it to Instagram, and all the players would repost it, and it just slowly started growing from there. So then I was like, well, I could go to Oklahoma, had some pretty good high school basketball players with big social media following. So I was like, I'll go to their games. So then I just started going around, and the school let me borrow the camera and check it out at night. And so just started doing that, and really had a great time going around meeting. I met a lot of people doing that too. And at that point, started to feel like my editing was getting better than the actual video, simply just because it wasn't the best camera. And so whenever, when was it? It was at the end of my junior year, going into my senior year, I sat down with my parents and was like, I need to buy a camera. And then, of course, I showed them how much a camera costs, and they're like,
astronomical amount of money.
And to me, that was so much money, and they to them too. But I just sat down, and B&H thankfully has the 12 months no interest payment plan thing, and so I sat down and I was like, if I can make this much a month and
it'll
pay it off,
it'll
pay for itself. And so they let me do that, and so I got A7 III with it's always such a 28 to 75 Tamron lens that goes with it, and I rocked with that for all my senior year of high school, and then just slowly added lenses onto that, whether buying used stuff or then finally got that G Master 70 to 200, and that was whenever I was like, okay, this is serious. And
that's really cool that you're shooting your high school basketball team. You've played high school basketball, and you know all the guys anyway, right? So you have this great relationship with them, and there's nothing better than having like being around the team. They've had a great game, and then you show them the footage of that game. Of that moment, of that, like, because it's much better seeing it from your eyes, like on the ground, rather than seeing it from just a one-shot camera that's at half court, right? Like most highlight videos are, right? There's just no one in the stands videoing it, but you took the initiative to really care about it and really put that into your work and give something to the guys. It's like, hey, this is something they're going to look back, and you probably didn't think this at the time, but people are going to look back on those clips, right? They're 30, 40 years old, right? And like, I mean, that was so cool. I did this in high school, dunking or whatever, in that moment, that last minute shot, whatever it is, last second shot. And then you're like, hang on a second, I can travel to games around the city, around the state. Why not?
As soon as I got my car.
Well, also like, but without even thinking like I'm going to make money from this. It was like, I'm just going to go hang out and meet people and just go shoot more games. Why not? And there's games every week, right? So I'm sure you're on the road every week.
I mean, really, it became whenever we didn't play a game at home, I would go to a game, whether it be Heritage Hall or any Heritage Hall. This senior year, he's the number one player in the state. So number one, I think he's top 25 in the country too. So he was a big, Trey Alexander was a big, a lot of these guys I can say definitely played a major key in my growth. And I hadn't thought about the money side of things.
Because I guess you were still planning on going to college at that point.
I was just going to college, and I was going to work for whether it be the school or the newspaper there. That was my plan, and I went there, and things with the way that they went.
Just escalate, right?
Yeah.
But they escalate through hard work and through the quality of your work, right?
Yeah.
You know, by you putting in plenty of hours, but also like, I mean, you could put in plenty of hours and put out terrible work. Like you're very good at what you do because you can see that in the content. So you're in high school, you're doing all this work, you kind of get the new camera, and then, you know, I guess you're making it, you know, getting your car, you're driving around, and then, you know, you're making plans to graduate and to go to university. Was it always OSU, or was it a bunch of other ones you were thinking of?
No, I really didn't. I didn't have a preference, OU or OSU, ever. I was born in St. Louis and moved to Oklahoma when I was like 4. So none of my family had an OU or OSU preference, really. My mom, at one point in her life, lived in Stillwater before we moved to Oklahoma, but she hadn't gone to OSU or anything. So there was a little bit of a lean that way, but never felt any pressure. And I just looked outside. I was looking, UCO has a great media program, because I was doing commentary stuff as well, doing that for like football games and soccer games before I kind of went into multiple sports shooting wise. And I loved that. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to do like TV video or TV, that side of stuff. And UCO has a great program for that. And then OCCC, of course, has that amazing film program. And so them, and then OSU, as soon as I found OSU has sports media as a major, and I was like, well, that's what I want. So I went there and got to work for the student newspaper, the Ocolly, and just had a great time. Met a lot of people there. Again, just it's all connections still at that point, even though that was like the first time I had a job that was paying me to do this thing that I love to do, which was awesome. It was still fully connections based, and I got to meet so many people and really elevate.
I mean, you're on the big stage then, didn't you? You go from high school basketball is big, but you get to OSU and you've got, you got thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people in the stands. You know, you're going to games, and I mean, everything's on TV, and you're capturing moments that are. I mean, you got fans that are watching from, potentially all around the world, which is wild to think. It
is wild.
So you go in as a freshman then, and just when you go to do the sports, that sports media degree, was it quite easy to get tied in with the paper? And like, when you walk in and say, hey, I want to get involved, like how does that all work out? Was that an easy process, or like, people who probably thinking, hey, their kids are getting into university, they want to get them into a job or an internship. There's a lot of people that probably want that job, right? Yeah.
So the OSU student newspaper was excellent at reaching out, and because it's a very, very tight-knit group. Like I still have a Twitter group chat with all of them, and I'm going to be living in Stillwater next year still, so I can kind of be halfway between OKC and Tulsa. And so those are probably my closest friends, and gotten to know them. But it was interesting because I was kind of like getting recruited almost, and because once they saw I was going to OSU, I mean, of course, there's the athletics department who's hiring people, and I had toured the athletics department and looked at what that was, and then I sat down with the advisor for the student newspaper, and he was like, we really think that if you went here, there's just more opportunities and you'd get a wider range of stuff on your portfolio. And I looked through that with him, and we probably went to dinner like 2 or 3 times just talking about what to do, what I could do there, and really just sold me on that. And so as soon as I got there, everybody was super excited to get going and just have fresh faces. And we really started up this semester, and it was kind of tough with all the COVID protocols. Like, we didn't get credentialed for any home basketball games. I got credentialed for Bedlam in Norman, that's probably my favorite experience. Even though we had to sit sideline, we couldn't even shoot baseline. So the angles weren't your normal basketball angles, but photos still came out awesome. I think that was the first time I ever rented a camera. And I was just like, because at that point I had just upgraded to the A7S III because I really wanted to focus on video. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm only going to get to shoot one courtside game of the number one player in the country. So I rented A7R4. I was like, let's just get as much quality possible, and did that. And I'm really glad I did. And those photos came out amazing. And
investing in your work, right? I mean, that's kind of the lesson what you've got to do to improve, to get better. And the good thing about the stores and the camera stores, you can rent the glass, right? You can rent those lenses or the cameras or whatever you need, and it's at a fraction of the cost that it costs to buy one. Which is really cool.
Sometimes, I mean, I don't think I'd ever like rent a bunch. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to end up being someone that's going to rent a bunch, then you might as well just buy it. But no, definitely in that kind of situation, I think I've done it twice now. I did it for that game, and then I think it was our very first baseball game at the brand new stadium that they just opened up. I did the same thing,
which is wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
No. I've just seen pictures. I haven't seen it in person.
It's better than the Bricktown ballpark downtown, in my opinion. I love it. But it was an awesome year, and as difficult. I got to shoot one football game too. Otherwise, I was sneaking it in. I'd basically go up to, and I mean, athletics isn't going to be happy about that, but I'd go up to a gate and they'd be like, oh, you can't bring a camera in. Then I'd just walk a couple gates down and try and get in until I would get in.
Right.
And that's whenever I really started loving the video side of things, because I just go down to the student section and then start recording from there. And really the power of social media now, you just tag these players in the video and they'll see it. And then that next thing you know, the next day, and it's reposted by all of them. And the athletics department's like, how did you do this?
You're not the only person that's said that. I've had many people on the podcast that have snuck in cameras to events and gotten those shots. And Blake Shipman was one of them. He did that. He does video stuff, and he did video stuff for Monster Energy on the Monster Truck and FMX tours and stuff like that. And his first gig was because they saw footage of him sneaking it into like the Tulsa Arena or something.
Oh man.
And he won't mind me saying this because he said it too. He's a larger human being, so it was easier for him to hide his camera in his jacket than it is for you. But yeah, it
was the A7 III and the 70-200, and I just hold it down here and try and make conversation with the ticket person, and they just make them not notice it.
So you're at OSU, you're getting all these opportunities, you're shooting as much as you can shoot, and with the newspaper you're getting to shoot a huge variety of things. As well, I guess, other than sports then, were you shooting anything else, or was it just strictly sports?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely tried to focus and stay in that sports side of things, but I got the opportunity to take a upperclassman course we went to Tulsa every Friday, and actually May 26th is the day it comes out. We made a documentary about the Tulsa Race Massacre because it's the 100th year remembrance of that, and so we were up there every Friday filming and conducting interviews and taking portraits, and that's when I got into that more personal side of stuff. And I really feel like that unlocked a new thing that I love to do, and that's just storytelling is starting to become, and that's kind of where I feel like I transitioned from a videographer to cinematographer now is what I'm wanting to do, and just the chance to tell stories, and that just becomes something that I've become passionate about. And now it's just finding those people who want their story told, especially when I haven't had the opportunity to do much of it yet. So like, I understand it's a bit of a risk to take a chance on someone who doesn't have like, oh yeah, here's one I've done before.
But you get in the door by doing, say, hey, can I come do it for free, right? And then you build up your portfolio, and you're like, hey, this is the work I've done. If you want it, like, we can do it, and pay me a little bit, pay me a bit, and then you just build up from there, don't you? But that's that's what I've noticed with the podcast too, is there is an unlimited amount of stories out there. You've just got to find them.
Yeah.
And find people who are willing to come and hang out, chat, or whatever it is. Like with video, people love to, it'd be awesome. There's nothing I have a feature I think coming out soon in a magazine, and like they're asking me like, send me pictures and send me stuff, and thankfully I've taken pictures in the past, but there's nothing better or something like it makes you feel really valued and cool, right? Like someone's doing a feature on you, right? Like that's something special. Like a friend of mine, another friend, Eric Granado, who's a photographer and getting into video as well, he did the similar thing with for a project. He would do it some stories, and he would go just take photos, like a real 10 photos or whatever, and tell it and write a story about it, and it's just a way to build connections, the same thing as you did when you were going to high school games, right? Definitely. Around the States, just building connections, making friends, and once you get into the industry, I'm sure you've met is it David Tester as well, is that right? Has he been doing a lot of he's been doing a lot of documentary, I think that's his name. He's been doing a lot of documentary work in Stillwater. He did the coach documentary.
I think I've seen him. I haven't.
He's
I
like
haven't
big deal with cameras and stuff.
Yeah,
like the whole,
I've seen him watching plenty, because they did this year. They documented Cade being there, and you'd see him with this big rig, and you could tell they're working on something major. And I'm excited to see how that turns out. I wish I would have gotten to become a part of that team that did that, but they had their reasons they didn't want. And that's why I kind of worked. That's why I worked at the newspaper.
That was more down the athletic route, wouldn't it? I think, because he posted a bunch of stuff. I think it is Tester.
The athletics worked with him.
But I remember seeing his story, and he's always up there. And during COVID, he's doing all the protocols and stuff and capturing as much. But I think it was mostly like athletic basketball, football stuff, along with the documentary that came out.
Coach Sutton.
Yeah, Sutton. That's right. Yeah. For Coach Sutton's really documentary. Good. So, there's no shortage of great cinematographers here, which
that's
is
why
great.
Oklahoma's becoming such a big place for film. Yeah, and now there's a movie called Stillwater coming out too.
Mad,
everybody.
Yeah. So, it's exciting stuff for you to get in and be building your business around the area that you want to be in. Tell me about like the social media side of things. Like, how do you get Ballgame to start, right? Because there's a pretty legit like handle to have. Yeah. Right.
No. So that was when did I? So that's been a account, and we've called it a collective, because it's just a bunch of content creators really that would contribute. And one of my friends, Jared Brasher, one of the best editors I think I've ever like worked with, was the guy who ran it, and his stuff was so unique and so different. He kind of started the like trend of like players posting like commitment edits, like of them with a jersey swap, and he like started that, and his account grew so big to where he was like verified, and not Ballgame, but his own personal account. And he was doing stuff nobody had seen before, and he's not really the type to want to be in the spotlight, so we actually had them take it down, and he has a small personal account now with a few of us following him. But
isn't that crazy? Like, there's a lot of people that would like would pay a ton of money to have verification and have a lot of followers. Yeah, and he's like, it's not my thing.
It's not his thing. Yeah, and I totally respect him for that.
For sure.
And I honestly, if I could go back and start without people knowing who started it, and it was just JRC Media, and my name wasn't attached. So whenever I show up to a game and I'm a 19-year-old kid, they're like, "Oh, wait, what? Like, this is a 19-year-old?" And it's like, that's happened plenty of times, and it's just like, does the work not speak for itself? Exactly. And they, even though the work is the quality that it is, they want to be like, "Oh, but you're a kid. Why are we?"
Yeah, you need to be gray-haired 50 and put in 30 years to get in the door, right? Maybe. Yeah.
And so that's been one challenge, but otherwise. Yeah, the Ballgame account, he got a full-time job. He was the guy running it, and he got a full-time job doing motion graphics for a creatine company, and doing doing that, and he loves the After Effects things and all that stuff, which isn't really my my cup of tea, but he loves that, so he started doing that, and just slowly he just couldn't do this anymore. So he had been looking for someone to sell the account to for a long time, and everyone who, like, he had major corporations reaching out, but they just wanted the username. Yeah. They could care less about the actual content and the branding, and they just wanted to have the name.
Yeah.
And I was like, I kept wanting, like, to reach out to him about it and be like, I'd love to take this on and do it. But every time I'd be like, it would be a great passion project, but like, how does it help me? Like, if I'm going to spend this much money on the account, I need to make it back at some point. So how can I do that?
No doubt.
So that would keep going back and forth in my head. But finally, it was just one night. It was one of the last, like, kind of right after I had decided that I'm going to go full time this year and not go back to OSU. I was like, well, now I'll have time for it. Yeah. So I called him and I was like, hey man, I know you've been selling this for a long time, and I think I mean, from what I know, he hadn't sold it yet. I was like, is this still something that you're looking to do? And he was like, that's actually like perfect timing. Like, he was about to just sell it to one of these companies and not care, just because he just needed to get it off his hands. And so we worked it out, and I bought it from him. And right now, I mean, still, like, I haven't even gotten to do much with it. We're still transferring all the, there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know was as big a part, like trying to switch the domain for the website to mine, like all that kind of stuff. There's a bunch of stuff. But there's a lot of stuff working behind the scenes on stuff. Most recently, there was a partnership with Reebok and Iverson Classic, which is basically like a high school all-star game that we went to. And it wasn't even a partnership to say at first.
Mississippi or whatever when you went to?
Memphis.
That's right.
That's the first trip I've really traveled. Like, I drove. It's a 6-hour drive. We literally finished my last final for school. And then the next morning set my alarm for like 6 a.m. and woke up and then just drove and had a great time there. I just had got credentials. I didn't, like, they weren't hiring me.
Right.
And
you weren't getting paid for it?
I wasn't getting paid. It was just like I was a credentialed media member. And
which is like a golden ticket.
Yeah. And once you get in, and it's like, I know, like, my goal was, if I get in, I'm going to make something.
Right.
That they're just going to have, I'm going to try and make it so good that they have to post it. Yeah. And so that happened. They had like a local rapper that was there that
had over like a million,
over a million followers, and he, they saw the video, and he did a halftime show performance, and what I didn't understand, like, the whole game they were hyping it up, like, he's going to perform at halftime, and I saw where he was sitting in the crowd, but once halftime hit, all the videographers just set their cameras down, went to go charge batteries and go sit on baseline. I'm like, I'm going to go stand next to where he's sitting, and he's going to have to get up and get out of his seat at some point. So I'm going to get him walking out, and he just climbed over the chairs, like, right towards me, and I got that shot. And now it's like the next time I do a reel, it's probably going to be like 90% that event, just because of how that's awesome. How perfect that stuff came out. But I enjoyed that a ton, and they reposted that video of the rapper, and then video of the dunk contest the night before. They used clips from that for that Reebok advertisement, and
that's all. I mean, that's just one step towards what you want to be doing. So I mean that's the opportunity, isn't it? You know, you get that credential, and you're like, there's a no-brainer. I'm going. Like, a 6-hour drive. I can stay in a hotel. I mean, it's not going to cost me that much.
I can't stay in a hotel because I'm 19. You have to be 21. So Airbnb is the move for me right now.
All right, I didn't even know that. That's hilarious. But you go down there and you take the initiative to go down there, and you know, it's an opportunity, isn't it? And you do the work, you know, and you get, like I said, you get that shot of him coming out, and doing his thing, climbing over the chair, and then Reebok reposts it, and that's just solidifies like your, I guess, taking a risk and going there, right? You know, I'm sure mom and dad were like, should you really be doing this? And like, I'm going. Like,
because usually huge. Like, I mean, now I've gotten to the point where I'm doing paid jobs, and that's the main stuff that I'm doing. So like, this was the first time I was like using my own money. I wasn't getting paid by anybody to go there, but I knew, like, I mean, I worked for exposure. Like, everybody says don't do it, but for 2 years that was what I did, and I feel like it's very, very valuable. And there's, I don't know if you've seen, but there's Skins League, which is like a pro-am basketball league here in Oklahoma City. There's this thing called the Drew League, which is like where all the NBA players play in the summer just to stay in shape. And that's basically Oklahoma City's version of it. And this summer, late this summer and the next summer, it will be completely like NBA certified. So any NBA player will be able to play in it that wants to. So that will be huge.
So then you have passes for that, or you will have passes for that?
So I started doing that for free whenever, this will be at Skins League season 6. This will be the 6th summer. I've been doing it since season 3.
That's awesome.
So I was one of the first, I was really the first guy who was there every night. All summer.
Capturing all these, I mean, NBA
and that
players.
was still whenever I was borrowing my school's camera. And he just loved what I was doing, and slowly as I've grown. So now I'm next year, or this summer, right now he's doing a high school version of the league, which is the first time he's tried that. And I'm working for him for that. And then once the bigger league starts up here in a little bit, that'll really be where, and I'm working for him now as the main, as a content creator. So
and the good thing is, like, with the high school stuff, is you're building these relationships with these guys, right? So then when the number
all
one
these
guy,
parents, all these,
and they're all going to go, if you know, okay, not all of them, but if 5 of them make it to the NBA, you still have those relationships, right? So when you call up and say, hey, if if they're not playing for the Thunder, but they're coming to town playing against the Thunder, you say, hey, let's hang out. Let me, I'll be at the game or whatever, and you get content, however that works, right? I mean, that's your in, isn't it? As you build that relationship.
That's one of my friends, Rondell Walker. He plays for the OSU basketball team now, but I started going to his high school games when he was a sophomore in high school, and from there he just grew up and kept going, and I kept going to his games. And then it was funny, like, I just wanted to be different, so I made like a commitment video to OSU just for fun whenever I was in high school. And then 2 days later he announced he was committing to OSU, so I was like, oh, so he definitely just following me, like, joke like that. But we got up to OSU. It was an awesome year, and we had a lot of fun. And like, as soon as the season ended, like, I'd go and take pictures for him working out and stuff like that. And then I traveled along with him to do a workout video one time, and just keeping that relationship and friendship going. So whenever he goes to the league, like, they want draft photos one day. They want these things. It's like, I'm not being their friend just to do that. But it's like, if I can be their friend and offer these services to them, and be able to do that for them, and know that I'm just their friend at the end of the day, and I'm not trying to use them. Like,
that's a fine line, isn't it?
It's very
especially when you're friends and you're building a relationship with somebody.
Because I was friends with him before, like, I was going to his games, just watching his games before I even did video. So it's like, he knows that I'm not just in it to film him. Like, he knows that it's more than that.
You mentioned, I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but you mentioned cinematography, right? What if, I mean, I'm a huge Gary Vee fan, and that's kind of why I started the podcast, was out of something that he'd said in his books and all the rest of it.
I've watched a lot of his videos.
If someone came to you and said, "Would you be my if an NBA player came to you and said, "Would you be my D-Rock?" Is that like the dream, or would you want to go down the more like making movies?
Well, I've gotten to do that a little bit. Buddy Hield, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he played at OU this past year. When was it? It's either, I think it was early October. He DMs me on Instagram. and just says, call me, and sends his phone number. And I'm like,
who is, what? Am I being catfished?
But I mean, it was from his verified account, everything. So I call him, and he has a very, very thick Bahamas accent. So as soon as he picked up the phone, I knew it was him. And he was like, can you be in Dallas at 10:30 tomorrow morning? And that was the first thing he said. Yeah. And I was like, I have class. I'm at OSU right now. But you can't say, it's an NBA player calling. You have to say yes. And I said, yes. And he was like, okay, here's the address to my house. And so, it was like 10:30 at night. Yeah. And Dallas is like a 4-hour drive
from OSU.
So I was at home in Choctaw, and all my camera gear was up in Stillwater. Right. So I had to drive an hour and a half north to Stillwater, plugged everything in, went to sleep, set my alarm for 5 a.m., woke up the next morning and drove to Dallas and got to his house and captured him working out. And this was all during the quarantine stuff. Sure. And they couldn't do anything. And so he was working out. He had a lot of people berating him on Twitter and Instagram, like, oh, you're being lazy, not working out. And he was like, well, I'll show you. So he hired me to do that. And that was the first time I really felt like, hey, I could really do this.
I can hang with the big guys. My content's worthy of them putting it out. Yeah. Right.
And nobody, once he was posting, he would post photos. Of course, I know there's so much behind the scenes with the copyright on video and music and all of that, which is a whole nother thing. But he'd post all the photos and tag me, and it was nice not having a face behind, just his public audience. There was no face behind JRC Media. It was just JRC Media doing it. So that's when more opportunities come from that, and things flourish and grow. And so that really grew, and now hopefully I'll be able to implement some of the Ballgame stuff in 2. And his season just ended last week, so he'll be back
off season stuff.
And I haven't communicated with him much, but they were playing 4 games a week this year because of how COVID was. So I'm like, I don't blame. If I was him,
he wants some time off.
And I would from what I heard, he has just one phone that has all of his family and his agent, and that's it. No social media, no one. And I'm like, I don't blame you. I would be trying to stay locked in too. So.
No doubt. Yeah. It's such a cool experience, right?
Yeah. And it was cool.
Moments,
and he's in the gym working out, and there's other NBA players there. So it's like,
you're shooting them too,
sneakily.
You're like, oh, he's sitting down taking some time off. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the stuff just I can't ever post, and it goes that way. But just that experience with Buddy, and then hopefully again this summer
we'll just be building that reputation and constantly. I mean, you've been doing this for a long time, right? In the grand scheme of things, people think, he's only been doing it a year or whatever. Well, no, you've been doing this since sophomore year of high school. And you did a full year at OSU, and now how was that conversation with mum, saying, okay, I would love to go all in at this.
I had a lot of my mom was asking me if I wanted to do a gap year after high school.
Really? Okay, that's
just
great.
To kind of see, because my family saw the potential in it, and they saw what could happen. But I really wanted to go to OSU just because #1 basketball player in the. I just saw all of the I saw all of the chances there, and I'm really glad I did. And school's never really been I've never been a bad student. It's never been a struggle for me to do school, but I'd always be so unmotivated knowing I can do this. If I was going and looking for a job one day that required I understand school and how important it is, but if I'm my own boss, I don't have any job requirements to set for myself. So it's why spend all the money that I'm earning instead of just building it up? When now, I'm 19, I'm going to have an apartment in August, but right now I can stay with my family for the summer. And it's like, that's 4 months without paying rent that I can just be saving
money.
And so whenever it comes to investing in a new piece of gear or something like that, then it makes sense. And I'm not just spending money I don't have anymore.
Right.
And that's the goal for me.
Yeah, not financing it, hoping you get to pay it off in 12 months, right? Like,
and now I feel really confident in that. And this year will be a test to see like, hey, what's it look like? So it'll be interesting to see. But
that's awesome. So what, I guess, for the plan for this year then, what is, like, I guess, your goal to, get in and do, obviously in the off season now that you're going to be shooting the skin stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, anything that you like really working towards, or people that you want to get in front of, and I mean, where does it go from here?
I mean, my goal, and of course, right now I still have to learn and adjust to what I should actually be doing, but I'd love one day to be able to be like a creative director for whether it be a university's athletic department or like the Thunder or really any professional like NBA, baseball, or football. I'd be totally, those would be like whenever, because I can't see college diplomas being a thing that's like you have to have it to do. If they see the work and the 10 years I put in over and the players that I've worked with and
that's
the
your resume.
One-on-one, that's I feel like even though it might say that on the job application, if they can see that, that's something that they'd want. And so one day I hope to get to that point. But right now, just it's still that connection-based work. And though now I'm like charging for it now, and I've learned what my worth is, and I feel like I've gotten a good feel for that side of things. I really still feel like it's all about the relationships right now.
Totally agree
and so as long as I can keep this relationship with Buddy Hield and these other players, like,
because it'll build into more.
And they know that, of course, like they know that they have what they're doing is another opportunity for me, but they also see how important the content side of things is becoming nowadays, and more players are just having people document them. So whether it be if Buddy asked me to just document him
for his YouTube channel,
for anything, that would be something I'm open to doing too. But right now it's just all about staying open, and that's kind of something I've struggled with almost closing myself to opportunities by locking myself into others.
Right. That's where it gets hard.
And that's when it gets hard.
Like,
and you gotta like, if I overbook myself, like what today, I'm going from here, pick up some lunch, go to Norman for a workout shoot, come back to OKC for a workout shoot, and then home and edit stuff from this weekend. So it's like I got stuff to do, but it's full time now, and I know that's what I signed up for, and that's what I'm doing. So full time, that's just what I got to do if I'm gonna try and.
Do you know a guy named Larry Chen?
Larry Chen.
He's an automotive photographer.
I think I've heard of him.
Yeah. And I have a separate car podcast that I do, and I interviewed him for it, and he was talking about the sacrifices that he'd made to travel, to sleep on floors with no money, and just like sleep on hotel floors of buddies who he was with, and like his come up story is kind of about what you're talking about. It's just like what you've got to, you're investing in yourself, you're traveling around, you're spending the time. It takes its toll, but it's totally worth it.
Definitely.
And he's now, one of the best automotive photographers in the world, and works for Toyota and all these giant companies, and has his own YouTube show as well. I mean, just his story is really, really cool, and it's something that, like, if you're willing to do the work, then put it in, and put in all the hours, and the hours that nobody sees, and always be at that event, then the relationships will take care of themselves, and it'll be worth it.
Most definitely.
And then I think I saw this week, Elon Musk was talking about, like, and just one of his clips that I saw on YouTube, but talking about like how much, if you work more hours in a week, then you're going to work more hours than just work like 60 to 100 hours healthily if you can, but you're putting in more time than someone can put in. You're putting in like a year's worth of time, right, in like 6 months, basically. That's what he was saying, and it's totally true. It's just you got to have that drive and that want to do it. And
as
some
long
people
as
don't
I'm,
have it.
as long as I'm doing something that I love to do, I might need to work on my sleep schedule a little bit, but that's like something that I'll learn and be better at now that I'm not a college student.
Yeah, exactly.
And doing this. And so it will be, there's just a journey to it. And I mean, I got to learn everything that comes along with it. So
I mean, you got plenty of time. Like you're 19, you've got and I tell this to people as well. Like if you want to take a gap year, go travel, do it after college, before college, whatever it is. Go see life, because you've got time to go back to school. If the worst comes to worst and you need to get a degree, you can get a degree, right? You don't have to get it now and get into debt and all the rest of it. But that's a whole nother conversation that we won't have, because I would probably get irritated to talk about college debt. Anyway, mate, thanks for coming down. I really appreciate this. This has been really cool. Yeah. Glad to meet you. Look forward to building a relationship with you and seeing your work, progress through this year and some of the workouts that you guys are going to be shooting. For everyone listening, how can they follow you? How can they get in touch and maybe even book you? Yeah, so best way to get in contact is probably just through my website, and is jrcmedia.photo. And then there's the contact page, my phone number, email, anything on there. Portfolio of work with everything that you can find there. My Instagram page is jrcmedia.photo. And on Twitter, I'm Joshua R. Cleary. So sweet, awesome. Well, I'll post those in the description down below, and people can go straight to that and follow you and find you. But yeah, thanks for coming down. Of course. For everyone listening, we'll catch you next episode. Cheers. This podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at oklahomahof. Also, huge shout out to RCB Bank for jumping on board to be a sponsor. RCB Bank's loan promotion is here for a limited time. Head into any of their 40 Oklahoma locations to get as low as 1.79 APR on your next car, boat, camper, or ATV. Apply online at rcbbank.com. RCB Bank, that's my bank. Rate and finance with approved credit. Restrictions apply. Member FDIC. Huge shout out to my sponsors. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next episode. Cheers.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.